Thanks for coming out today to our talk on the embeddable YouTube upload widget. So I'm Jeff Posnick. I'm from the YouTube API Developer Relations team based in New York City. And joining me today is Eric Lundberg, who is the engineer responsible for the YouTube embeddable upload widget. And we're really psyched to be presenting today. So before I get into any more details, I wanted to make it very clear that what we're showing today is a preview of things that we will be releasing to the general developer community hopefully very soon now. So we don't have any actual URLs or docs that you could go off and try right away, right now. But we're going to be showing you some things that we hope to make available very soon. I wanted to give an overview of what we're going to be covering today. Eric's going to start by talking about what exactly this embeddable upload widget is. He's going to demonstrate an example integration that we had with one of our kind of trusted tester pre-release partners, Formspring, show you how they're using the widget within their site. He's going to go into more detail about how he wrote the widget, some pretty cool JavaScript stuff that he was doing, and just how he built it, and then he's going to talk about how you could use the widget on your own site. I'm going to go, at that point, into a case study about kind of our featured integration of the widget in a new project that we're calling YouTube Direct Lite. And at that point, we'll have some time at the end for any questions and hopefully some answers that we can provide for that. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to Eric.
Thanks, Jeff. So the YouTube embeddable upload widget is simply a way for any website to support uploads directly to YouTube from their own website without leaving that website. And just like with uploads on youtube.com, normal uploads, the videos that the user uploads belong to that user. However, additionally, the host website can see the videos that come through the widget and keep a list of those videos for whatever reason they'd like to. And the widget has two main modes. You can either record on the fly using the user's webcam if they have a webcam, or the user can select a file from their computer and upload it just like with the uploads on the website today. So why did we build it? First of all, it was one of the most requested things on our public issue tracker on our developer forum. And additionally, we wanted a solution, a video upload API solution that allows external uploads with really minimal integration effort. There are a few options today with JavaScript, some server-side deployment, but none of them are as simple as we think this will be. And we really see two main use cases for this. First of all, a web community, a self-contained web community, can maintain a list of videos that belong to them that were uploaded by the members of that community. And also, a blog or a news site can post an article and solicit video responses to that article directly from the article itself, just like a user would go and type a text comment, have it appear on the site. They can solicit a video comment and then just embed that video right in their comment stream. The widget looks, or the API to the widget looks very similar to what we have today for the iframe player. There are two main ways to use it. First, you can just simply copy and paste this HTML snippet. Just put the iframe directly in your HTML, give it some basic parameters, width and height, and it should just work. However, if you want to get a little bit more advanced, you can use the JavaScript API that we provide. And you do that by, as you can see at the very bottom, loading a script from youtube.com. And that script gives you the symbols that you need to create a widget, specifically yt.uploadWidget. You call that constructor with the name of a DOM element that you want to replace. And again, some parameters. Here we have width. We pass in width. The height is determined for us. We pass in some events. In this example, on upload success. And that on-upload success function will be called anytime the user successfully uploads a video to YouTube through the widget on your site. And before I get too much into the technical details, I want to show you an example integration that one of our partners, Formspring, put together and allowed us to show at I/O today. Formspring is a platform for online discussions. It's primarily a question and answer forum. A user can post a question and other users can respond, or a user can just say, I am such and such, ask me anything, and users post them questions and then they have to answer them. And today, there are two main ways of posting questions and answers, basically just text and images. But this embeddable upload widget now allows the opportunity for video responses. And let me just show you what that looks like. First of all, let me just say, this is a staging version of their website, so there may be a few issues with it, but we should be able to show you how our widget looks like embedded on their page. So, it looks like it's working. Here's a number of questions and answers that are here already. I can just go to the top here, ask my friends a question. I could type something here. I could post an image. But what I'm going to do is click on this little movie icon and record a webcam video question for my users. So first, Flash comes up and asks me to set some settings. It asks me, do I want to allow YouTube to access my camera and microphone? I say yes. And this is what I have. So I'm just going to ask my friends a question. How are you enjoying I/O today? Now I can play that back. How are you enjoying I/O today? And if I'm happy with it, I can just go right to upload. And as you can see at the top there, it's put a link to that video right into the post widget here. And I can ask that question, and the way they get that video link is, again, through that onUpload success callback that I showed you earlier. Once I upload the video, the host site sees that video ID and can create the video link. And that's just to show you how simple this is, here I've actually taken the widget and embedded it directly into our HTML slides, and it looks pretty much the same here. There's also an option to upload video files. I can select a file from my hard drive and upload that. So now I'm going to go into a bit of a deep dive on the technical implementation, talk a bit about how we built it and what technologies are involved. First, just a high-level overview of what this looks like. You have the web browser, which runs on the user's computer. And in their web browser, they've loaded your website. And in your website, you have your own JavaScript and some HTML. You've also embedded a script that I showed you earlier, which loads the upload widget symbols from youtube.com. And you use that script to create the upload widget, which is shown here in blue. And the widget can talk to your JavaScript. I'll go into that a bit more later. And it also talks to YouTube, primarily by uploading the actual videos to YouTube. Let me talk first just a little bit about the API that's available. When this is ready, we'll publish some complete docs, but just to give you a quick overview, you have a set of callbacks on API ready, which is triggered the first time the widget loads, and the JavaScript API is available. On upload success, which fires any time a video is successfully uploaded to YouTube. On processing complete, which happens when that video is viewable. And for example, you could take that callback and at that point embed a iframe player in your website. On video ID available just means that the YouTube video ID, the public video ID, is available. On state change happens any time that the webcam widget changes state, maybe from playback to recording to idle. And on webcam canceled happens if the user clicks that cancel button that I showed you that takes them back to the main initial page that presents the webcam or file options. And in addition to these callbacks, we have some commands. Currently, these commands need to be invoked during the on API ready callback due to timing issues. And they basically boil down to setting metadata on the videos that are uploaded. You can set currently description, keywords, and the actual title of the video. Our upload servers, look, we use the same servers that we use for regular file uploads. The whole upload flow looks very similar to the way uploads on My Videos Upload look like today. Those upload servers run on upload.youtube.com. And we share quite a bit of the JavaScript with the normal My Videos Upload site. These file uploads happen via XHR when it's available using put. We use a resumable protocol. So if the user starts to upload a file and then closes their browser, they can come back later, select that file again, and the upload will just continue where it left off. And we do actually use CORS, cross-origin resource sharing, to communicate from www to upload when it's available in the browser. And on non-XHR browsers, we have a couple of other options. For IE, we use Silverlight if it's installed. Or for browsers that have neither XHR nor Silverlight support, we'll just do a simple HTTP post. For the webcam uploads, we use a protocol called Rtmp, which it stands for Real-Time Messaging Protocol. It was developed by Adobe. It was originally proprietary, but now it's public. The spec is public, and Google has its own implementation of that. And because the initial version of the webcam really actually requires Flash, we don't yet have a full HTML solution. Using Rtmp was very convenient because the Flash plugin itself and the Flash API supports Rtmp natively. And we actually use the same service for Rtmp as we do for the file uploads. On the client side, the widget is just an iframe. It's an iframe which loads its contents from a YouTube servlet, HTML, JavaScript, CSS. And it implements a core functionality of uploads, basically what you have on My Videos Upload, minus some of the advanced metadata editing features, which the user can still do later on the website itself. And we actually share the camera SWF with Google+. Google+ has its own webcam application that just runs on the Google+ website. It's not an embeddable thing. And it allows someone to create a webcam video and post that to their Google+ stream. But we use the same code there. And thanks to HTML5 technology, specifically something called Postmessage, the iframe widget and the window that's embedding it can communicate with each other to a limited extent. Postmessage has been around for quite a while in most browsers. It's in the most recent version of every major browser. Specifically, it has existed since these versions that are listed here. And what it does is it allows two windows that are running on different domains to talk to each other by standardizing all communication as JSON data. You pass an object to it, and that object gets converted to JSON data, and then that JSON data arrives at the other window. And what this looks like is, you can see here, on the sender side, the sender has a reference to the other window, and it just calls postmessage on that window. It passes a message, which is an object, and it can also specify a target origin. And I'll explain a bit more about that later. The receiver just adds an event listener for a special event called message, and it supplies a receive message callback, which handles these post messages as they come in. And the nice thing for anyone who's using the API, the widget API, is that they don't need to implement this themselves. The API has both a host side and a YouTube side component, and those pieces handle the post-message communication for you. All the API user needs to do is supply some callbacks that are run when different post messages happen. Here's just a quick illustration of what this looks like, very simple. You have window A, let's say that is our iframe. And when it loads, for example, it says that on API ready callback to the host window via post message. That message arrives at the other window and is processed just like any other JavaScript event. It goes into an event queue, and those events are processed serially and single-threadedly. And this is one thing that's kind of nice about Postmessage is that it standardizes this cross-window communication as just simple event handling. And this is nice because, in general, browsers handle event handling more consistently than just generic cross-window scripting. However, this can be challenging in some cases. Like I said, during the onAPI-ready callback, the host and the iframe need to synchronize a little bit and agree on what metadata to set on the video. The way we handle this is by sending another event from the host side portion of that JavaScript API that says, now the host is ready. And this just happens when that callback finishes running. The way we authenticate the user using the widget is just the same as with any servlet that's running on YouTube.com. Because the iframe runs on YouTube.com, it has access to the YouTube cookie. And if the user isn't logged in, we still display the widget. But when the user clicks on a button that requires them to use a feature like the webcam or a file upload, we launch a pop-up. And that pop-up prompts them to log into Google. And it runs in a separate window. The user can see that they're logging into Google. They're not logging into your website. And then once that happens, the widget has access to their cookie and all their information. However, the hosting window does not have access to that information because of the same origin policy. There's two windows running on different domains, and that information isn't shared. And as usual, when a user uploads a video to YouTube, or when a user uses this widget, they're only authorized to upload to their own channel. There's also some authentication that happens between the windows themselves. This is mostly handled for us by the browser. To explain how this happens, let me just show you what a post message contains. It contains the data, which is the JSON data that comes from the other window. The origin, which is populated by the browser. It indicates which domain sent the post message. And the source window, which is just a reference to that window. So the receiving window can then send post messages back to the sender. And because this origin is provided for us, we don't need to authenticate the window. The browser tells us who it is. We just need to authorize that window. And as I mentioned before, there's a target origin parameter. When you send a post message, the sender can tell the browser, this message can only be received by the following domain. Specifically in the widget, the host side portion of the API will only exchange messages to or from YouTube.com. And the widget, the iframe side of that API, only listens to messages from the domain that actually loaded it. And this prevents these two windows from, or it prevents a third window from intercepting or forging communication between your site and YouTube.com. And in addition, each widget has its own unique ID. So if you embed multiple widgets on your website, the messages should just be delivered to the right place, and this is handled again by the API. There's a lot that we want to improve with this going forward. First and foremost, we want to support something called GetUserMedia, which is part of the HTML5 spec. It's in WebRTC, so it's behind a flag in the latest Chrome Canary. And what this is it's just an interface to getting webcam data, media streams, using pure HTML. So it's in Chrome Canary. It's in the latest version of Opera. It's in IE 10. We haven't implemented anything yet for the widget, but we're working on it. The biggest blocker right now for us is just finding a way to take that media stream and create an actual video file. But the good news is that once we figure out all the issues here, we can just drop it into the widget, and the host site doesn't need to worry about it. The API should look the same. Mobile is also still very much a work in progress. The bad news is that there is no in-browser application. Again, for that, you need GetUserMedia. That's under development in several browsers. Opera Mobile 12 has an implementation, the first and only implementation. The good news is today, though, that this sort of works in Android. If the user loads the widget on their Android phone and they select a file upload, the Android will give you a few options. One of those options is to create a file using the camcorder. And then if you choose that option, you just go out to the camcorder, record your video, hit OK. That video becomes a file and goes to YouTube as a normal file upload. We also want to support developer tags and integrate with the API in a more generic way. One of the really core use cases with this widget, as I mentioned before, is for the site that's using the widget to be able to track all the uploads that come through that widget. And this is possible today in a way using these onUpload success callbacks. These callbacks can be faked locally, however, just if the user finds your JavaScript handler and calls that, then you can fake an onUpload success event. You can also attach a custom keyword to the video that will get saved to the video. The user can later go and remove it, but that's another way to track these videos. You can even go back later and query for videos by keyword and collect any videos that you may have missed. But really, the long-term solution here, in our mind, is to support this with developer tags, which means that we need to change our backends to upload videos through the API. And then those developer tags are custom tags that you specify. You've registered a developer key already. You can go and search for any video that was tagged with that developer tag. And supporting this also means that we need to support OAuth 2 as an alternative to the cookie auth scheme that I mentioned before. And in fact, if you use the developer tags, your users would need to sign in using OAuth instead of cookie auth. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, and he's going to show you a case study called YouTube Direct Lite that we are working on now, and he'll explain more about what that is.
Thanks so much, Eric. So I wanted to talk about a little bit of the motivation behind YouTube Direct Lite. The webcam upload widget is great, and other means of kind of soliciting videos on your website is great, but there's a problem how you curate them, and that gets into a little bit of what Eric was talking about, where there's manual ways of looking for videos that have been uploaded using a specific tag, or using that callback handler. But that kind of involves writing some custom code yourself. You might be just somebody who's running a website and not necessarily much of a developer. And it would be really nice if there were a platform that's already written that would provide some of that functionality with you while integrating with the newest things that we're offering. So that's what we consider YouTube Direct Lite to be. It makes it easy to moderate video submissions. And you don't have to use the API that Eric was talking about directly. YouTube Direct Lite will handle all the technical details for you, and you just need to add YouTube Direct Lite to your website. Before I talk much more about YouTube Direct Lite, I wanted to talk about the legacy YouTube Direct platform. Not surprisingly, if there's a YouTube Direct Lite, chances are there was a YouTube Direct. There still is. It's an open source platform for soliciting videos from your website's community. And we've actually seen a number of news organizations, such as the New York Times, who've used it for the Reflections on 9/11 project, or San Francisco's ABC 7U Report project, a screenshot of which you see down here, integrate with YouTube Direct in the past. And we're really excited about those types of integrations, and we hope to see more moving forward, especially with YouTube Direct Lite now available, or available soon. So the way YouTube Direct works is that videos are uploaded into individual users' accounts, which is our recommended best practice. This is actually really important. We don't recommend that websites or other online communities set up systems that allow users of their site to upload videos into like one master account. That invites a whole bunch of problems, and we have a blog post on our YouTube API blog that talks a little bit more about why that's not a good idea. So both YouTube Direct and YouTube Direct Lite follow that best practice. These videos will live in the YouTube accounts of your users, and you could then go and curate them and moderate them a bit, and the act of approving a video that's been submitted will simply add it to a playlist that lives in the master account. So that's kind of the way of featuring the submissions that you want to particularly highlight. So YouTube Direct was built using Java App Engine, and that actually, Java App Engine is a great platform, but it requires a decent amount of expertise to get your YouTube Direct instance up and running and to maintain it. And you kind of need to have familiarity with a bunch of different things, not only Java and App Engine, but Eclipse and how you properly deploy this platform. So it ended up being a bit of a hassle for a lot of our potential integrators. And we really have been, for a while now, been looking for an easier solution for getting set up. So that's YouTube Direct. YouTube Direct does happen to support mobile submissions via a dedicated Android and iOS client. Those are open source. And actually, the whole YouTube Direct and YouTube Direct Lite platforms are open source as well. And one of the things that we've heard a lot, from YouTube Direct users particularly, and from the community in general, as Eric mentioned, this is one of our top open issue tracker requests is support for webcam submissions. It's a very obvious integration. It's great if you are allowing people to upload videos from their hard drive, but let's say somebody wants to record a video, right on the spot in response to an article that you posted. So, integrating with the webcam upload widget is a really huge deal for the YouTube Direct platform. So that was some more details about the legacy platform. I want to talk about the rewrite and what went into creating YouTube Direct Lite. So it's a complete rewrite of the platform. We pretty much rethought this from the ground up. And I'm the primary engineer who's been working on it. The focus has been on modernizing the code base. So it's 3 years old code. It's not necessarily some of the code that I'm the most proud of in the YouTube Direct platform. So we wanted to write something that was a little bit more modern and fresh and incorporate these new features that people have been asking about for a while, including webcam submissions. And more than anything else, just drastically simplifying the setup. If I run a website and I want to start using YouTube Direct Lite, I really want that to be as easy as possible. I don't want to go and deploy things in Java App Engine. I don't want to do anything else. So one of the things that makes it possible for this to be so simple is that the code is written in client-side HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There's no Java code running on a server. There's no Python code running on a server. And this is only something that's recently possible. So we wanted to do this for a while, but we actually could not do that until we rolled out cross-origin resource sharing, or CORS support, in the YouTube API. And this means that we could write JavaScript code, have it run on a web page, and that JavaScript code can make calls directly to our YouTube API servers without having to have an intermediary server, kind of proxying those requests. So this again means no server deployment is strictly required. You don't have to run anything of your own if you don't want to. But there is an option for those who do want a little bit more customization. If you want complete control over the user interface, you can download the code or check out the code. You could customize it and deploy it locally on your existing web server. And this is actually what we're going to ask folks to do once it's available. If you happen to be on a very large website and that you get a lot of traffic, hosting the code yourself is probably the best solution here. It's very simple. You're just checking out HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files, and you can put it anywhere on your existing web server, anywhere that's publicly accessible. And if you take that approach, you do have complete control over the user interface. It's fairly simple to customize the CSS to meet the rest of the design of your website, so everything kind of fits together. And we are expecting folks to want to do that. But there's another group of folks who really just want to make this as simple as possible, drop one thing on their web page, and automatically support YouTube Direct Lite submissions. And we're going to be able to make that possible. You'll just put on a specific iframe tag on your page, on any existing web page. The source will point to a centrally hosted YouTube Direct Lite script. You'll just have to specify the playlist ID that you're interested in soliciting submissions for. And you customize it in terms of, a little bit in terms of width and height, but you really don't have too much control over it. So this is it's supposed to be as simple as possible. And it's in fact so simple that I could do this right on our HTML5 slide deck. So what you're seeing right now is the initial YouTube Direct Lite screen. Because I am in a Chrome incognito window right now, I'm not logged in to this instance of YouTube Direct, so I can take you through the login flow. So what this is actually using is OAuth 2, and OAuth 2 is our recommended way of handling authorization and authentication whenever you're doing anything using the YouTube API, or really any Google APIs. So it will present your end user with a screen right over here where they see specifically what the name of this application is, which access this application is requesting. In this case, it wants to view and manage my videos and view and manage my YouTube activity. And it gives me, as the user, a chance to explicitly say allow access before it could act on my behalf. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be taken back to the screen, which is now that I've logged in. It's populated with my YouTube videos. So these are some videos that are already in my account, and you'll see there's 3 different modes for submitting videos with YouTube Direct Lite. So I have Eric a little bit earlier recording this video from the webcam widget.
How are you enjoying I/O today?
Yes, so that ended up in my YouTube account, which is not a best practice, but I'll let it slide. So you could take any existing video that's already in your account and click the Submit Video button, and it will end up being submitted to that particular instance of YouTube Direct Lite. And this, I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but what this basically means is that it's associated with a specific playlist for future moderation. So the video still lives in, in this case, this Jeff Posnick test account. It's not like it gets copied over or anything like that. We're simply changing the metadata of that video to let YouTube Direct Lite know that that video has been submitted. So there's 2 other tabs up here. We do just have an old-style upload form that lets you put in the title and description and a category for a video, choose a local video file that's already recorded and saved on your hard drive, and submit that to YouTube. There are ways of customizing YouTube Direct Lite so that you hard code specific titles or descriptions or whatnot, so you have control over what gets displayed in this form. And finally, we have the webcam widget over here, which you've seen already. Oops. So I wanted to talk more about the administrative side of things. So you have your YouTube Direct Lite instance on your web page, and you want to see what's been submitted. You don't want this to be a black box. So I just have to click that login button again, but because I've previously authorized it, it will take me right into the screen. And what you'll see in the initial administration screen is a list of all the playlists that are in your YouTube account. So again, think of this as me looking at a master account at this point, even though it's the same account I showed before as part of the client submitting things. So I happen to have these 2 playlists right now. I also have the option of just creating a new playlist right from within here if I want to, if I have a brand new initiative on my website and I want to collect videos specifically for that, I could just create a fresh playlist if I'd like. But clicking on one of these existing playlists will take me to this initial screen that'll give me the code that I need for doing things. I could do at this point, check out any pending videos that have been submitted, and we see that video from, I think that was from a little bit earlier today. That's been submitted because earlier I submitted to a slightly different playlist. And at this point, though, I could watch that video.
So are you having a good time at I/O?
And as an editor or a moderator of the site, I could say, okay, yes, this is the sort of thing I want to feature on a playlist, or no, this is not something I want. Let's say I do want to approve that. Click the Approve button, and it's going to end up showing up in the Approve tab. So this will also get you access to all the previously approved videos, and you could, from here, reject something if you mistakenly approved it. And we also have this Rejected tab. So let me just talk a little bit more about what the act of approving a video is. As I mentioned before, nothing happens to the original video that lives in your end user's account. If you active approving a video, we'll simply add it to a playlist that you could then feature on your website. And there's a nice way of embedding a playlist player on your page that will let you show all the newest videos that have been added to that playlist without having to write too much code. So you could just use our standard tools that are already in place for interacting and displaying playlists with YouTube Direct Lite. So YouTube Direct Lite is something I'm really excited about, but I did want to be upfront with some limitations and planned enhancements. First of all, it's not available today, along with the upload widget that Eric was talking about. We hope to make it available as soon as possible. There's a few more things we need to take care of internally before releasing everything. And that being said, YouTube Direct Lite is dependent on CORS, or cross-origin resource sharing, which I talked about before, and not all browsers currently support it. So we're looking into a few different ways of making that situation a little bit better. There are various kind of shims that you could use that will kind of provide a fake CORS experience for browsers that don't quite yet support it. Most notably, I think Internet Explorer 8 and 9 right now don't support CORS. But if you are looking to include YouTube Direct Lite right now on your site, just be aware that not every single browser will support it. Chrome Frame is another option that we're looking at for using with some unsupported browsers to allow them to actually make CORS requests. So moderation of the videos and the way that you get that list of pending videos that we showed earlier works via searches for specific keywords in public videos. So you can only submit public videos, and there can sometimes be a delay before a video is picked up. So we're doing basically a YouTube API search for a specific tag, and that tag kind of associates it with the playlist. And our search index can lag sometimes. Kind of normal operations usually a few minutes before something gets submitted and will end up showing up in a search result. There can be times where it's a little bit longer than that. So you should keep that in mind. There's not going to be an instantaneous action between somebody submitting a video and when it appears in the administrative interface. Finally, we have those existing open source iOS and Android clients that allow people with mobile phones to record directly from their phones and upload the video to YouTube and at the same time submit it to a YouTube Direct instance. We've not yet updated those clients to talk to YouTube Direct Lite. It's a fairly simple change that I have a task of things I need to do. So I think that will be something we'll be able to provide, but it's not quite there yet. So that's the material that we wanted to cover. We have our YouTube for Developers site that I encourage everybody to check out at youtube.com/dev. If you haven't been there yet, there's lots of resources for YouTube Direct developers, for folks who are interested soon in the YouTube embedded upload widget, and anything else related to the YouTube API. I encourage everybody to circle us on Google+. So we have our YouTube for Developers account now, and there's a link right there that you could use to add us to your circles and get latest information about things such as when our widgets are launching and when YouTube Direct Lite will be available. So that being said, I wanted to open things up right now to the audience. Anybody who has any questions about the material that we covered today or anything really related to the YouTube APIs, feel free to come up to the microphones and speak as loudly and clearly as possible, and hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions. Oh, and yes, so we have some great giveaways for folks who have questions. We have quite a few of those, and JJ, my colleague, is, I think, going to hopefully assist with giving away things for folks who've asked questions. That's a little incentive.
Hey, I'm Avner from Deja. I have a question about the moderation tool.
Yes.
Is it only open to my YouTube user account, or can this work as a way for people to submit stuff from search results and stuff like that? Can they search and submit something using the Direct Lite API?
No, not as it's written right now. That might be something that would require the more heavy involved YouTube Direct platform, and that's probably a sort of customization to the open source code that you can make to that. It's not really the intended use case that we had for either YouTube Direct or YouTube Direct Lite, and it's really submitting videos that are in your own account. And you will get a t-shirt and probably confer with JJ regarding your size. Any other questions from the audience?
I'll probably have a few. I just need to look at my laundry list of things I want to ask.
Cool. OK. Well, yeah, we'll be around, so feel free to come up to us afterwards. But thanks, everybody, for coming out today, and enjoy the rest of your I/O experience.